Hey guys, Biggie here, and welcome to my LoreRim post-installation guide. So I'm going to be going over customization stuff that you can do with this list, how to add your own mods, how to keep the mods that you added safe, and a lot more stuff. So before we do anything, make sure you watch my last video on how to install Wabbajack lists in general, because it'll go over important steps such as, you have to set up your page file, you have to set antivirus exclusions. If you're using a NVIDIA graphics card, you have to set your cache size for the shader cache. But once you've done all of that and you have LoreRim installed, you just want to go ahead and double click on the mod organizer exe in the folder. So once you open up LoreRim, this is what it'll look like, and it will default to the Ultra profile. So make sure to check the website for information about kind of the spec recommendations for the different profiles. It's also on Nexus. But honestly, just to switch the profiles is as simple as choosing a different one. Now, keep in mind when you switch profiles, you do want to be careful about your overwrite folder, because what happens is, for example, the Ultra profile by default comes with my Cabbage ENB cut, but the normal profile comes with Dawnfire ENB. So what might happen is you might get an error when you try to launch it. Usually you can just press launch again, but whenever an ENB changes like that, you want to go into your overwrite folder, and you go into the root, and you want to make sure that the ENB cache is deleted. Make sure to delete that completely. And then you might get a KI loader little pop-up, but that's fine to ignore. Just press start again or press run again, and it'll go away. Now, there are some other customization options. So widescreen users, go to the very top, and depending on whether or not you're using 21:9 or 32:9, you'll want to make sure to check all of your relevant options here. There are two different sections, so just be aware of that. Controllers also have support. It is right here in controller support. You can actually, so you want to disable this keyboard map and then enable this controller map. If you right click this controller map, it'll take you to the Nexus page, which will have a lot more information about how to set this up, including the Steam controller layout stuff. So make sure to go to that. Finally, you will also have a optional gameplay section. So under the optional gameplay section, again, for most of these, you can visit on Nexus in order to see what the mod is all about. The only ones that don't are the ones that are custom made, but for the most part, they have descriptions like the Vampire Sun immunity. Basically, it gives you immunity to the sun as long as you're wearing a helmet. The last thing that is a officially supported thing that you can change are the ENB options. So if you're on the performance profile, it comes with, if you go to this do not touch performance profile resources, by default it comes with community shaders. If community shaders are enabled and you enable an ENB, it'll just automatically disable community shaders, although it might be a good idea just in case to toggle community shaders off. And you can toggle mods on and off just by clicking on the little box. But all of these ENB options are just a one-click, or I guess two-click thing. If you want one ENB over another one, just disable the one that you're currently using and re-enable this other one. All of the necessary files are going to automatically go into the correct spot for you. Now, if you are breaking Rule 11 and, don't come hassling me about, you modified the list, added a ton of naughty mods, and now the mod list is breaking. I can't support that, but what I can do is recommend whenever you add a mod, let's just pretend that this is a mod we added. We'll just call it Booba mod. So let's pretend that this is a mod that we just added into the list. What you can do to make sure when you update the mod list, and updating, as I mentioned in the previous video, is just the same thing as when you downloaded the list in the first place. you just check the overwrite button. But make sure in brackets you type no delete, like that, and a space. And now whenever you re-download the list or update the list, this won't get deleted. This will stay in the same spot for you. A lot of people ask about keyboard settings because they get confused, and or things like display tweak settings. Almost all of those are going to be, if they're not, if you change it on the base mod itself, like display tweaks, and nothing's happening, that's because it's actually in this mod right here, LoreRim, MCM, and any settings. This is like a repository of most settings. So if you go to, for example, SKSE plugins, you'll see here that you can modify the experience. Any here, you can modify shadow boost, display tweaks, engine fixes. All of these mods can be modified here. Because this loads late, it takes precedence. Now, when you highlight this, you can actually see all these green things that light up. That means that those mods are being overwritten in my settings mod. And same thing, if you go click on a mod and you see this little lightning bolt with a red minus sign, you can go to the conflicts folder, and you can see here losing conflicts. The ini file is losing to LoreRim, MCM, and any settings. So just keep that in mind. Now, once you are done customizing your list, and I guess I should also note, if you don't know this already, you can install a new mod from an archive here with this button, or you can just plop it in your downloads folder. If you plop it in the downloads folder, you can actually drag and drop directly into the load order spot that you want, and it will install in that spot. Now, once you've done all of that, you can go ahead and click the launch button. Now, do not press this unlock button. I showcased this on a stream recently, why you should never click this unlock button. Basically, what's happening is Skyrim, or I guess I should say Mod Organizer, is taking everything that should go into the root folder and injecting it. And once you click unlock, it unloads that stuff. And it's very important stuff. So things like E and Bs, if a mod list has reshade will go in there. Most importantly, Skyrim script extender. So if you load it up and your character is like missing their eyes, or just everything looks visually crazy, you might have hit the unlock button by accident. So yeah, just don't do that. Most of the time, just exiting out of Mod Organizer 2, rebooting it, and relaunching the lists will often fix it. If it doesn't, you might have to just re-update the list and check the overwrite box, and then it'll get everything that shouldn't be in there out of there. If it still for some reason leaves weird stuff, what you want to do is delete the stock game folder and the overwrite folder, and then do the update. Now, the other thing people ask about is, how do you bring up the E and B menu? It depends on the E and B. Cabbage E and B, which is the ultra default, is the end key. Otherwise, it's going to be, for the most part, the Shift plus Enter, and that'll open that up. Now, once we get into the game here, I'm going to show you some more stuff that you can customize. The main controller option that you can customize outside of in-game itself is the dual wield parry mod. So you'll get your character here. I will put a link down below for Noxcrab's tweaks, specifically the article regarding races redone, because that's the race mod that LoreRim uses. But basically, the races are a lot more diversified, and so they're a lot more leaning towards a certain playstyle than in vanilla, or something like Adamant, or even something like some of the other race overhaul mods out there. For example, Altmer is going to be very strong as a mage, but it's going to be rough trying to be a full warrior as an Altmer. The opposite is true for, let's say, a Red Guard. They're going to be very skilled at using weapons, but they'll struggle with magic compared to Altmer. Not that you can't do it, it's just going to be a lot tougher than vanilla. LoreRim also has a bunch of race menu presets. You can press the F9 key to load up a preset. When you save a preset with F5, it'll by default go into the overwrite folder, along with a lot of your hotkey changes that you do. So if you end up making changes or doing things that you want to keep, and they're in your overwrite folder, just make a new mod like I showed just a second ago with a no delete option, and just stick all your custom settings and stuff in there. You can press insert to randomize a name, as you can see. And you will begin with the alternate start live another life mod. Just wait here for a second until LoreRim 2.0 has finished playing. Then open your inventory and exit out of your inventory. This will begin the Requiem installation. Because I got background music going, I'm gonna turn this off. One thing I should have mentioned, a lot of people don't like the music replacer in LoreRim. If you want vanilla music, again, just disable the Lorcan mod, Lorkhan. But I recommend keeping it, it's awesome. After 13 years, I like to hear something else. Now, once you're in the alternate start live another life, you can go ahead and choose your start. But before you do that, you might want to choose your medical history. This will give you some starting traits that you can play with. You can play without the traits. Basically, you have to get points by taking detriments. You know, this will give me, let's say, +6 points. So I can grab that. And then I can use those points to grab benefits. Maybe I grab Adrenaline Rush. And maybe I grab, I don't know if I can get anything with 1 point. So I'll be done with that. Now let me show you some other custom control things that you might want to change. The most common one I get asked about is true directional movement. You can go and switch your target lock key here. By default, it is the mouse 5 button. You can change that to whatever you want. Smooth cam, there's 6 smooth cam presets to choose from. If you go to the third person section, you can switch the shoulder swap key. This is mouse 4 by default. One-click power tack is how you power tack in LoreRim. By default, it is the middle mouse button. You can change that to whatever you want. And also there is, for example, helmet toggle. This is by default Y. And there are some other mods here. If you press F11, it will open up all of the hotkeys in LoreRim. Let me exit out of that. The other one is if you press home key, you can go to the, well, there's actually a few things you can do here. You can change the time of day with this key, with this option right here. You can go to the add item menu here, or you can go to the mod config. And this is important because if you accidentally added potions into the wheeler and you're getting crashes, then you can go ahead and reset all your wheels here. You can also rebind the wheel key. By default, it is G. Let me show you how to use wheeler. So if you want to use wheeler, you can open your inventory. And if you want to add something, you hold G while in your inventory, and then you can add it directly into the slot. From this screen, if you want to add more slots, just press M. If you want to remove those slots, just go to the empty slot and you right-click it. If you want to add more pages, you can press the N button. So if I open this here and I press E, I can switch between pages. Pretty cool. Now, like I said, you don't want to put potions into the wheeler key. You can just use classic favorites for that. Then you will also have an ability to choose a Birthsign. So how this handles Birthsigns is a little bit different than vanilla. In vanilla, you know, you have standing stones and you can swap freely between them. In this, birth signs are locked by group, so if you choose one of the warrior birth signs, you can only swap to another warrior birth sign. Same with mage, same with thief, and serpent is in its own group. So if you choose something else, then once you get to the standing stone, it's not going to have any impact on you. LoreRim also has a custom skill class tree. Starting at level 2, you'll get a destiny point, and you'll get up to 7 points, which is enough to work your way up to the final perk. And these are very strong. This is a good option for people who want a little bit more oomph and customize their experience even more and play into a role. If you don't want survival options, it's as simple as just opening up the settings, disabling survival mode. LoreRim also has difficulty sliders. So vanilla Requiem doesn't have difficulty sliders. This does though. You can disable them in the optional mods if you want, but the adept is the default, has no benefits, no downsides, no upsides. If that difficulty is still a little bit too hard for you, or if maybe it's too easy for you, you can go to the Requiem MCM, you go to combat, and you can increase your damage dealt to enemies, and you can decrease your damage taken from enemies, or vice versa. You can swap those around. Anyway.
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
Let me choose my alternate start. I don't recommend using the vanilla start option. Honestly, it's a gamble.
The woods can be so peaceful this
It's
Good hunting.
It's a big jank. It's big jank, let me put it that way. There's a good chance that something is going to go wrong, something is going to go weird. I mean, even in plain vanilla Skyrim, if you guys remember from 2011, the cart could go haywire by hitting a bee. There's some mods to improve the vanilla start, but honestly, it's still pretty wild. Now, once you are in the world, you'll be able to choose your starting religion. This is managed by Winter Sun Faiths, along with some custom tweaks. If you're ever wondering what LoreRim uses for certain gameplay options, you can go into the LoreRim Discord, and in chat you can type !LoreRim religions, or !LoreRim races, !LoreRim werewolves, !LoreRim vampires, and it'll send you to the mod page that manages all of those things. So choose my starting faith here. You can also choose you can choose to use the token system. If you accept this, it'll remove all of your starting items, and you'll get 50 tokens instead that you can use to customize your starting gear. So you want to start with robes, you want to choose to start with, oh god, Alduin's being loud. You can choose all of those things here. And you can go to, yes, I'm sure. If you're brand new to Requiem though, I might suggest you grab some soup. A lot of these soups give a stamina regen, things like that, and they are very helpful. So the venison stew, in particular, will give 1 stamina regen per second. And this is a nice, easy way to manage your early game stamina. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of stamina drain. Another good beginner thing if you're going a warrior build is to just choose the, when you choose your standing stone, choose the lady. She gives a lot of stamina regen. You also get 3 starting perk points with Requiem. One thing that you really got to learn about Requiem is skills are basically useless if you don't have a perk invested into them. Like if you don't have a perk into lockpicking, which is actually called Wayfarer in this, these are custom trees, you won't be able to lockpick anything. If you don't have a perk in pickpocket, you won't be able to pickpocket anything. If you don't have a perk in heavy armor, you're going to have a bad day. Your stamina is going to drain just by wearing the heavy armor if you don't have the conditioning perk. And you want to get this perk right here as fast as possible, Relentless Onslaught, because this will get rid of the stamina penalties for running around too, which will make your life a lot easier. So just keep those things in mind. Now, that's pretty much it for just the starting guide stuff. One final thing I will say is a lot of people get confused about certain game mechanics. You can always ask in Discord, but most of the perks are labeled with things here. For example, the dodge perk here will give you a better dodge. So by default, you have a really crappy TK dodge. But once you get that perk, it's a lot better. There's also a dexterity perk here, which allows you to do the bow dodge shot. There is the one-handed perk here, Storm of Steel, which lets you use the rapid bow combo secondary dagger mechanic, where you pull out the dagger and you can use a dagger while using a bow. Keep in mind, that's the only part of rapid bow combo that's in LoreRim. Finally, for example, there is the marksman perk here, Power Shot, which lets you do the power shot. If you saw it in the trailer, me annihilating that deer. Anyway, I know this video was kind of a mouthful, but hopefully this will be helpful to you guys. In the future, I'm probably going to do more kind of build-specific guides and things, but if you have any questions that are unanswered, maybe drop them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them in a future video if enough people ask the same question. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the list, and I'll catch you next time.